Hello, good morning. It's Monday, July 29th, and I am that developer dad, and we're building a application that's going to help me run my D&D sessions, specifically when my players ask, so what does the shopkeeper look like? What's their name? What does the blacksmith have any kids? Stuff like that. And I've got it working as a command line application, and I've shown it off to a few people and had some bugs, and I fixed those. And they've almost all of them, being busy DMs that are bad at ad-libbing just like me, have said, man, I'd pay to use this. And so my little brain went, what do we need to do to get this to a live piece of software? And so I said to myself, let's put a UI in front of this thing and let's use Blazor, because I don't know it. It's fairly new to me. It's been around for a couple of years, so it's not like a flash in the pan technology that shows up and then goes away. And I've been wanting to play with it, and I haven't had a chance yet, and this is my chance. So let's go to our screen share. Boop. You got to make the sound effects or it doesn't work. And here is the beginning of my Blazor page. And I'm going to be leaning on tutorials a whole awful lot. So, yep, I have an ongoing task here. Add a UI project. Try Blazor. If it sucks, we'll fall back to ASP.NET MVC. But I've got high hopes for Blazor. Now, let me find a useful tutorial for this. And ASP.NET Core Blazor. And let's specify the version. And I like using Microsoft Learn. Here we go. Explore it, create a rich environment using blah, blah, blah. Server-side and client-side app logic written in .NET. That's a huge plus for me. The less JavaScript I have to write, the better. I'm all about learning a new framework or platform within my chosen stack. But as far as picking up a whole new language paradigm, I'm not interested in doing that today. So let's see about build your first Blazor app. Okay, let's get started. Yeah. Got the arm. Okay, I'm running on Windows, so that's fine. Okay. Continue. Blah, blah, blah. I've already done all of the app adding and stuff like that. Let's continue. .NET watch command will build and start the app and then update the app whenever you make code changes. Okay. I guess we want to start it like this. Wait for the app to display that it's listening, and for the browser to launch at that location. So let's give that a whirl. So I'm going to come down here and open the folder in the File Explorer. And then I'm going to type CMD in the address bar of that Windows Explorer thing, and I'm going to type .NET watch. And let's see what happens. Hot reload enabled. Neat. And let's see if it actually does what it needs to do. It's thinking, and it's chugging, and it's starting, and it's theoretically listening on localhost port 5000. Connecting to the browser is taking longer than expected. Of course it is. Let's open this up. Close that. Local host port 5000. Boom. Okay. An unhandled error has been encountered. Reload. Oh yeah, that's vomiting all over the place, isn't it? Counter. Click me. Yeah, that doesn't look so hot, Mr. Stark. All right, let's see what's going on here. What's all this nonsense? Oh, might help if I stopped that and failed to determine the HTTPS port for redirect. All right, I don't think that is going to work well for us because it really wants HTTPS. And yeah, that's not going to work for us. That's okay. Can we Control C out of this? Yes, we can. Exit. Goodbye. Let's try this another way. I want to run using HTTPS. And let's see. Dev tunnels, don't need a dev tunnel. Script debugging is disabled. That's fine. Web browser is going to be Edge because that's the only one I've got installed. Let's go. Let's try running it here and see if that gives us any love. Here we go. That's much better. Now, is our hot reload running? Hot reload is Alt F10. Hot reload on file save. Let's turn that on. Okay. Now, over here in Edge, let's go to our NPCs. And I'm just going to change this. Still no NPCs. Bamboozled again. And let's save it and see if the hot reload is actual. Oh, there it is. That's wonderful. I like that a whole lot. Let's see if we can make that happen on the Mac. So I need to go to a new window here. And I'm going to need the IP address of this thing. I believe it's, now it may have changed if my router rebooted or something like that, but HTTPS 192.168.1.25 port 7277. Go. Hey, here we go. And there's that. Good. And let's grab, how about now? And I'm going to save it. It does not appear to have hot reloaded outside of localhost, but I'm not surprised there, but it does hot reload on localhost. So that's fine. Hot reload probably doesn't cross the networking boundary. I can probably, what's that? Translation available. I don't need a translation. I can just manually refresh it over on the over in Safari. Okay, so let's get rid of these extra menu items on the left. Like, I don't need the counter or the weather components showing. So let's go to the nav menu. And here's the weather and the counter. let's send those away. Goodbye. Save that. Whoops. Save that. Save, I said. There we go. Okay, here's home. NPCs, good. All right. Now that's not terribly exciting. So let's start off by getting the getting a sample that we want to show. And for that, I'm going to close this, stop running, hop out to the Solution Explorer, and we're going to run our console client. And we're just going to, because it's no longer a startup project, you can right click on it, hit debug, and start a new instance. No. Let's just go completely random. So no. Yes, let's go ahead and generate the stuff. Okay, my server's running. Good. The AI server, that is. And it's thinking. We've got a halfling female. She's got neat brown hair, or neatly styled brown hair, a bit of a tan. She is a brewer, but used to be a soldier. This could be interesting. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the output of this, and I'm going to drop it in as a string literal into that Blazor component and try to get that to display in the actual screen that we have. And since I've done some tire kicking on Blazor in the past, I've got a vague idea of what is needed to set up variables and constants and stuff like that inside components. So we'll see what we get. All right, good. We've got all the stuff. I'm going to start at the attributes, scroll down to the end of the description, copy that to my clipboard, type stop here, close that, and bring back Visual Studio. Over in my NPC generator, I'm going to go const string NPC sample equals, what's this complaining about? Nothing. Okay, we're just going to use a string literal. And I'm going to paste the contents of my clipboard in here. Holy cow, that's gigantic. All right, it doesn't like all of that stuff. So what I'm going to have to do is highlight this whole block wherever there's quotation marks, and I'm going to hit Control H. I want to find all of the double quotes and replace them with single quotes. Okay. Part 1 resolved. And let's make sure we don't have any more stuff reappearing as... Okay, good. So we now have a fully fleshed out string literal. And I believe all I got to do is... Well, how do we bring in the value of a variable into our template. Let's take a peek. Not there. Go away. That's right. I have my tutorial up in Safari here. So here's all this stuff. Page title, hello world. Yeah, we're still good. Click me. Yeah. We already got rid of the counter. Continue. Add a component. All right. Each of the Razor files defines a UI component that can be reused. Open the home.razor and a text editor of your choice. Yeah. We got that. Add a counter component to the app's homepage by adding counter. We're not going to mess with that. But that's neat. And modify a component. Add a public property for increment amount with a parameter attribute. Okay. It looks like it's just the @ sign with the name of the variable. So let's try that. So instead of how about now, let's try @NPC sample. Save that, and let's fire it up. Let's see what we get. It's thinking, and it's building, and it's running. Let's go to our NPCs. Okay. Does not appear to be well formatted or anything like that, but we've got all the stuff. So that's good. We know how to get that in there. So we're gonna need to do a little bit more work here. I think we're gonna want to iterate on the AI prompt first. Well, no, let's not mess with that yet. Let's talk about actually calling out to that subsystem, and then from there we'll actually do the generation. Yeah, let's do that. So let's close this down. Now, in order to do that, we're gonna have to we don't need the Blazor client.client, but we do need to come down here and define some services. So an awful lot of folks, when they fire up an application like this and start building it, will just lump all of the service configuration and setup and everything like that into static void main. And that makes me more than a little bit crazy, because it makes for an incredibly long setup method, and it hurts my brain to have to look at it. So I am going to set up a private, and I believe it's web application builder. It's going to return the web application builder. Add services. And it's going to take in the web application builder. builder. And let's return the builder right away. Save that. And we do need to go builder equals add services. No, what did I call that? Gosh. Add services, okay. Did I make it static like a dummy? No. It does need to be static. Static. Builder equals builder.add services. Builder. I didn't build it as an extension method. It's Monday morning. I've got my head in my butt. Okay. So right now this will continue to run without trouble. And we're going to need some references. So let's pop that in here. Close up my properties. I don't need my components. I'll leave pages open for now. Yeah. And dependencies. Add project reference. We are definitely going to need our GameTools.WorkloadProvider. All right. We're going to need more, but we'll get there. Builder.services. Excuse me. Add scoped. Let's do that. It's going to complain for a minute, but that's okay. So that's that. We want to go up into the API folder, and I want to take a look at, so it's going to be an iScoped or an add scoped of I character workloads. And we'll fix that complain text there. And then to resolve it, I believe we could just go character workloads. Character workloads. And that should be about all we need, right? Well, one would think, but we know better. Because character workloads needs a townsfolk manager and a AI workload manager. So, to get that, we're going to need to come back here, add another project reference, and we're going to need our townsfolk manager and our AI workload manager. While we're at it, let's bring in devdad.framework and gametools.framework. Okay. Now, we're starting to run into something that I'm not in love with the ASP.NET dependency injection and the containers and stuff. In that our root assembly needs to have knowledge of every dependency in the graph. And that has led to problems in other projects I've worked on in the past. In that you start to get components injected into other components that should never have knowledge of them, and so on. And that can get people in trouble. It frequently gets projects in trouble. But for now, let's go ahead and follow that pattern. So builder dot services dot add scoped townsfolk manager gets a townsfolk manager. What are you complaining about? It's a namespace, but is treated like a type. How do we do this down here in our console app? So program, let's go to create services. Go to the definition of that, townsfolk subsystem. Okay. All right, so we'll come back to program CS. Come up here. And we're going to add a using game tools dot townsfolk manager. Pop that there. Save it. Does that fix our problem down here? No, it does not. You're a dirty bird. Let's see what's going on. Game tools, townsfolk manager, game tools, townsfolk manager contracts. Doesn't seem to be complaining about it here. It's all prompt user. I'm just going to grab this. Loop. Copy. I'm going to paste it as a new line here and see what's going on. Yeah, got to do it this way. Copy. Paste. Yeah, it's still complaining. That's not what I want to do. Why is that not a problem here? I'm going to grab this. We're going to copy that. And we're going to scroll all the way up. Paste those here. You're still being a fool. I don't want to rename that class, but I think I'm going to have to. And occasionally you will run into some silliness where it'll let you get away with using the namespace name alongside the class name along with, or to match the namespace name. And what's a good new name for this? Townsfolk manager. I hate doing this. MGR. Yes, rename the class as well. pop down here, MGR. Ugh, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. And let's rebuild our solution. And because that's a wide-reaching change, we need to now run all of our tests as soon as it's done building. Well, we at least need to run the townsfolk manager tests. Okay. Let's run those. It says they passed. That went a little too quick. Oh, here we go. All right, they all still worked. Good. All right, and I want to pop in here, go to the definition of this step, NPC options. Okay. That bugs me. That really, really bugs me that I had to do that just now. But I'm not going to dig into that bit of the .NET internals at this point in time. So in addition to the townsfolk manager, we also need our AI manager. Builder.services.add scoped of AI workload manager. There we go. And we have our line termination. Good. Now, townsfolk manager, when we hit that constructor, it's going to throw up all over the place. So let's go back to our program and come back down to create services. Go to definition. Okay, we're going to need to add rule set access, card deck, and the dice bag. Okay, we're going to grab all of this stuff and we're going to copy it because we're going to need those things. All of them. And we're going to paste them above here. Paste. And then this stuff, copy, paste, paste, paste. Rule set access needs to be referenced. So let's do that. Add project reference. We're going to need rule set access, definitions, and 5ESRD. I don't think we're actually going to need definitions. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that we're fine there. We're also going to need the dice engine. Okay. What's that complaining about? You with me, Mr. Windows? Rule set access is a namespace, but used like a type. Oh, you stink. Save. Using game tools dot rule set access. Save. It's not going to let me get away with it. That's so Weird. Rule set access. So let's me do it here. What's a good name for this? Rule set access. Well, it lets us access our rule set, but it's being a real pain in the neck. Rename rule set lowercase s provider. Fine. Yes. And again, wide-reaching change. So we best rebuild and then rerun all of our tests, or at least the tests that touch the rule set access. And that means rerunning our townsfolk tests. Okay, I got to come down here, rule set provider. That we need to bring in. Nope. I'm going to bring in using game tools dot rule set. Which one? Oh, I've got a namespace casing mismatch. Save. And where does that live in? Excuse me. Rule set DND5E SRD. Contracts. We come down here all the way to the bottom. Okay. So if I come over here, spin down here, I'm going to just try building. Build. Don't. Oh, you suck. All right. Well, let's take a look at our rule sets. Resource access, rule sets, 5ESRD. I believe that lives here. Registry species data. Rule set initializer. Yeah, here we are. And it lives in here. So I'm going to grab this, copy, make sure, get rid of the console. And I'm going to come up to the top again. Paste. Back to the start of the line, using semicolon. Save it and fixed that issue down here. Good. All right. And now we need to set up our AI. So just for tidiness sake, set up local, set up townsfolk, services, dependencies. And down here, set up AI subsystem and dependencies. And I really don't like the way this shakes out. But for the purposes of this particular stream, I don't want to go chasing perfection here. But there's just something about this that rubs me the wrong way in terms of encapsulation of dependencies. I really feel like the subsystems should be responsible. Hey, what's up, INP? The subsystems themselves should be responsible for managing their own dependencies. So I need to provide the LLM provider, and then that's it. That's all that's needed for the AI workload manager. So we can copy that, paste it in here. There we go. Change that to read builder.services. Save that. All right. And that should be approximately what we need there. So let's close down all of these things that we had to open for reference. Character workloads, that can go away. And that is the console app. So up here in NPC generator, I'm going to shrink that up. That's our just in case we can't make it go. How do we add dependencies to a Blazor component? Let's take a look. Build your first app. So render mode, interactive server. We don't have any interactivity on this page yet, but we'll get there. Private int current count, increment amount, that's a parameter. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, neat. Continue. Next steps, keep learning. Thanks. Learn ASP.NET. Yeah, no, none of this is useful. Let's come back to Microsoft Learn. Components. All right, build a full stack web app with Blazor, build a native client app with Blazor hybrid, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't want to deal with WebAssembly yet. And that's components, Blazor tooling, WebAssembly tooling, hosting models, tutorials. Let's see what kind of tutorials we've got. Signalar. Blazor hybrid. What are you talking about? Routing navigation. Okay, that looks like something I should dig into later. Fundamentals, routing and navigation, dependency injection. Boom, that's what we're looking for. And server-side services is what we want. HTTP client is scoped. This stuff, navigation manager, whatever. Client-side services, not concerned with that. We've just done the server-side services. Registered common services, blah, blah, blah. Fail during pre-rendering, service lifetime scope. We got all that stuff. Request a service in a component. Here we go. I need @inject thingy and then do stuff. All right. So up here, we bring one of our services into our Blazor page by going @inject and it needs to be a I character workloads. Is that what I called it? Yep, I character workloads. And I'm just going to call this chargen. I believe I do that. What are you complaining about? Boom. Okay. So we need that using statement there as well. Does the page directive need to be at the very top? I don't know. And instead of add NPC sample, I'm going to create well, first we're going to go back here and take a look at what they're doing next. Button, add-on click equals at blah, 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 take me to the counter component. I don't want to do that. Component base, iComponent. Base class is required, but components and injected properties are also required for the base class. Yeah. I'm not going to mess with that right now. Inherits custom component base. All right. That's in our services. Keyed service into components. Okay. Utility-based component classes. This is all super, super useful. I'm not going to mess with it right now. Yeah. Private, protected override, void uninitialized. Okay. So, I don't care about any of that stuff. Transient disposables, server-side transient disposables. Server-side Blazor services from a different scope. Yeah, no. I just want to wire up a darn button. For now, I saw something about uninitialized. Here's on click. Counter, don't want to do that. Let's go private string NPC private void generate NPC, and we're going to use var string gen equals excuse me, chargen dot generate NPC, and that's just going to get us the JSON. And NPC equals gen private string NPC equals string dot empty. Save it. And let's try at NPC. No, not there, you silly goose. At NPC. Got to get rid of the plus sign because that's just a fat fingery thing. And protected void on any hits. Nope, got to go back to the tutorial. There's a base method that we can override that will give us what we need. not down here. It's not in this stuff. H1 code, protected override void on initialize. That's it. I just had it not quite right. Override void on initialized, based out on initialized, generate NPC, save it all, and let's run it. Come on. Oh, it blew up. That's okay. Cannot instantiate implementation type, IAI workload manager, blah, 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 blah. I obviously goofed something up there. So I am going to pause for just a minute, and I need to run to the restroom real quick, but I'll be back shortly. All right. I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so it didn't like doing the builder build boogity boo stuff because when it tried to create the AI service, namespace, same old problem. Oh no, just that it could not be found. So we'll come down to managers, close that one, pop this one open, AI workload manager. Okay. Using the AI workload manager. There we go. Good. Now why didn't it let me get away with it for this? That's so weird. All right, let's try it again. Yeah, I can't instantiate an interface with an instance of the interface that I'm trying to mask out. Now, I'm just going to push this button and see what we get. Hey, look at that. We have ourselves a thing. We've got some JSON. It's not particularly well rendered or anything like that, but we're able to generate. And I bet if we hit refresh, oh yeah, we get new ones. Okay, so I don't want to hit refresh every time I want a new NPC generated. So let's close out of here. And I am going to add a button. And I saw some sample code for handling button clicks over on this tutorial. That's closer to the top. Yeah, boogity boo, haha, here's stuff. That's not what I wanted. Failed during pre-rendering. Here we go. Button on click. I'm going to pull this over to my other screen for a minute. And I'm just going to go button at on click equals I'm going to close that and say again. And it wants. That looks like an interpolation type thing. And I need to do, let's shrink that, generate NPC. Save that. And let's try running this. Come in here. That ain't doing a thing. All right, well, let's see why it ain't doing a thing. Can we drop a breakpoint down here? Equals gen, we've got that private string. And we'll come down here. Let's refresh. We hit our breakpoint. Great. So we're just going to step over that, do that. There's gen. Continue. What happens when I click the button? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all, which means I goofed something up. All right, so that does that. Navigate to counter, yeah. Apple T. Bind button click in Blazor to local method. And we'll go to Stack Overflow, simplest data binding for button on click in Blazor. Small class equals collapse, your name is yeah. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Set name, blah, blah, blah. Why is this a problem? You're setting a field in a class. Call a server method when a button is clicked. Yes, that's what I want to do. Using all of that stuff. Simple Blazor project. I have a feeling that I have to set the render mode. I signal R into the hood. Change your on click to all right, let's try that. Like all of this extra goo doesn't feel like it's entirely necessary. Let's try that. And continue. So here's that. And the button still isn't doing anything. Button class equals button button primary. Add-on click equals do the things. Click me button. Current count equals at this dot underscore sum. All right. Well, maybe I'm not doing things quite right. So if I go at this dot underscore NPC, I don't necessarily want to reassign. Let's save it all. Come back out here. Refresh the page. And we've gotten a breakpoint out here. Good. Continue. Oh, we've got a bunch of breakpoints. Did it work? I don't think it did. I bet I need to set the render mode. Let's pop over here. Set Blazor render mode on a page. Apply a render mode to a component. Use the @render mode directive on the component instance or on the component definition. Blah, 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 blah. And this is current as of a little more than a month ago. Render mode to a component instance. Render modes. Interactive server is what we want. Interactive server render mode is for the whole app. We should probably come out and take a look at what we're using at the app level. So interactive server components and interactive WebAssembly components. Okay. Build. Add interactive server render mode. Interactive WebAssembly render mode and additional assemblies. Yeah. And do I need to set it on the page level? At render mode is what? What are my choices? Okay, great. That's all setting it up in Program CS. Dialog render mode, interactive server. Put a static using directive for render mode. Okay. Apply a render mode to a component definition. Interactive server, I bet, is what I want. Come on, wakey wakey interactive server. Save it. Just go. Come out here. Okay, and that doesn't appear to be doing anything. Let's take a look at the page source. Yeah, go. And the page source is going to be incredibly messy. Okay, so we got an unhandled error. No, that's just the UI. Visual Studio browser link, JavaScript, yeah. Here's all that stuff. Again, button. So that's not actually connecting to anything. That's not doing a darn thing. Okay. But that's okay. I am going to, because it's 10 past 11, I'm going to figure out what I'm doing wrong here. And we're going to get it fixed and actually working this afternoon. Because I've got things to do and I don't want to keep y'all longer than the hour that I usually set aside. But this looks like a fairly minor problem to solve. I'll get it figured out. I'll explain what I did. And then we're going to move forward with maybe cleaning up some of this display. I don't think we're going to want to just use the JSON here. I think we might want to bring back the actual or an actual dotNet object instead of just a JSON string for this, because it's going to be a whole lot easier to work with in the C# and inject the values from that dotNet object into our template. So that's what we're going to pursue this afternoon once I get the button going, because I do not want to have to repost to the server every time I want to generate a new character. That's silly. And we're also going to need to know how to use buttons properly for when we want to add more interactivity to this thing. For instance, once we've got this thing generating properly and displaying right, I'm going to want to say, give me the AI description and have it go out and bring that description back. So next priority, figuring out how buttons work in Blazor. And I will do that during the break. I'll see y'all again at 1 p.m. Eastern time right here on Twitch, or you can catch these videos as I archive them over on YouTube, usually shortly after I end the stream. But sometimes I have to edit some stuff out, like my trip to the restroom today. And so I'll do that editing and then make them available. But I do try to get everything up the same day. So I will see you all later, and take care of yourselves. Bye now.